Years of experience in the fitness industry and has coached over 5,000 clients. He's here to share insights on how to improve hormonal performance. Please welcome Coach Bosa. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I won't
I
try to impress you with my Chinese because it sounds like your Chinese is better than mine already.
yeah. Like here in mainland, like not in fitness industry. There's no only like 5% of people can speak English. So having to work in China in fitness industry, like being able to speak Mandarin Chinese, that's like like mandatory.
It
So
is
I have.
mandatory, and I never did it.
That's because you
I
had
still
a
have.
translator right next to you, like always. Hey, Wifi.
Yeah, I've got three translators, my wife and my two children. And then what I've found is with Taiwan, everybody wants to practice their English.
Oh yeah,
So they know that I'm Australian and then they want to show off their English, which for them
yeah.
is like a free English lesson.
Yeah. That's why I have so many friends here with Chinese wives as well, and they don't learn Chinese.
It's a tough language. I was living in Dubai and I was in the Middle East for 6 years, and I found it easier to speak Arabic. That was so much easier for me. I could pick that up. But trying to learn Chinese, it's not something that I've tried to do in the past 14 years.
Oh, you have to study.
Oh, right.
That's the only language that basically you can't pick it up. You can pick up some terms, like order food or something, but you for Chinese, like you have to sit down, have classes, books, notes, something like that. Otherwise, you
Mm,
can't. You can't pick it up.
mm. I was learning at age 14 and I still can't get it. And I think because of the tone, in English, we have so many different words, but it's not a tonal language. We can use tone to emphasize different things, but
It's not the
Chinese is
same.
so tonal.
Yeah.
What is it? Four tones and then a fifth tone. So you could be saying the same character or the same word, but with a different tone. And for me, I struggle processing the tone.
Yeah, I can't even hear them. But yeah. I know. Especially, I had these phases. You have these phases when you think like 2 years of learning, and then you go out on the street and you say something, and they're like, and you're like, okay, give up. Yeah, I
Back to
understand.
English. Back
Yeah,
to English. You've been in China for 8 years now. Is that correct?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Before everything was like Europe, but mostly I came here to do export. Ended up in the fitness industry. At first, it was just like a hobby to me. I'm an anthropologist, and bodybuilding was just a hobby to me. Everything like I did like some supplements, some clothes, fitness apparel, and competition. But then eventually, like when I came here and I realized it's a huge market, huge opportunity, and there's a huge gap in knowledge. Like I was like, okay, maybe we can do that. Maybe we can try. So I opened first one gym and then the second one, and then started a supplement brand. My whey protein is imported. Some of them come from Australia, yeah, as well. And recently, I've been doing like this online fitness app for people over 35, over 40. And we have, me and my wife, we have I would say, one of the best courses on perimenopausal fitness. So now we're all committed in this fitness niche, in this fitness industry. So
Mhm.
so my focus doesn't go off, trading, whatever, just fitness, which is kind of relaxing after a few years of doing exports and sourcing and everything, like, so now it's okay. Recent 5 years, I'm just
Mm.
fully committed to bringing health and better bodies to people. Yeah.
Well, I think once people start to get into their 40s, they start to realize how important their health is. And it's true for me. Back in my late teens, I would try to stay up as long as I could each night to maximize the day. And I'd try to get out of bed as early as I could. But then you learn that sleep deprivation is a very poor strategy. And maybe in those younger years, you think you're getting ahead, but you're slowly getting behind. And then you start to have kids. My daughter's 14. And I think for the first 10 years of her life, I was sleep deprived. And then after the sleep went downhill, I realized that everything else followed. The weight started to come on. I wasn't as strong as I was. My muscles weren't defined. And I realized that, gee, I better get my health and fitness sorted out at 40 because if it's not, I'm going to have some big problems in the following years. And I think that time now, 40s, is critical. What are you saying? You mentioned perimenopause. What else are you seeing in people's fitness levels? What's changing?
Well, the thing is, like, I think it all comes from the way we see health, you know, because I would say, like, I know with my father, he didn't consider this. I have a feeling that sometimes people consider health and being healthy and staying active as a form of aesthetics, you know, and it's like, longevity, like they will live like 70 years instead of 90. So it's like, oh, I'm okay with that. They don't have this quality of life, this uh, like health span, which means that, one day you're gonna wake up and your back's gonna hurt and you have like migraines, or you won't be able to focus, or your libido's gonna fall off, or whatever. I don't think people have this, like, in the equation of staying healthy and staying fit. You know what I mean? They just think like, oh, if I don't live healthy, if I don't eat healthy, if I don't train, if I don't do this, then, I'll just, live up to 70 and one day I'm just going to drop dead, like, but it doesn't work that way, like, you wake up one day and then you're like, your sleep's not good, like, you can't focus, you don't have drive, you don't have whatever. So, like, your life quality starts to drop. And then I think, like, like in 40s, it starts like after 35. For men, testosterone starts to drop. For women, after 40, they enter this perimenopausal phase, and then you basically feel this hormonal changes, like, and then people will realize how, like, how their body, it's different. I hear so many times from my clients, like, it's like I'm doing the same, but, like, you know I don't have the same results, I don't have the same, but I feel like my body changed a lot, which is normal. I mean, normal, which is expected, which is what happens after 35, after 40. And but you also have to, like, I always tell people, like, we right now we have bodies that are not meant to work this way, because we're a species that are like 100,000 years old. Look, all up to our, like, grandparents. Our parents are maybe the first one who lived this sedentary lifestyle. Basically you're sitting almost whole day. 8 hours of sitting. Can you imagine some, like, 100 years ago? Our grandparents sitting for 8 hours. It's like, like, so basically, like, they've been moving whole day. Uh, working, being active, staying active, eating whole foods. And all of a sudden, you have our generations, maybe our parents, just sitting for 8 straight hours, or not doing like so our bodies. And uh, also with hormones, you have to understand, this is like telling your body what it needs. When you're sitting and when you're not training, not working, you're not moving, you're basically telling your body like, oh, we don't need this anymore. So your body's not gonna push itself to
Mm.
produce more testosterone, to produce more growth hormone, more oxytocin, something like that. That's why if you don't have good relationships in your life, your body's not going to produce oxytocin. you know and then you have like other mental issues, not mental issues, like more like depression and stuff like that. So basically, when you're lacking something, when you're not doing something, when you're not pursuing something, you're telling your body that it doesn't need it. Your body doesn't need testosterone if you don't make love or something like that, or train hard. So that's like the cycle. It's negative loophole, what I'm saying. And I agree with you. Around 40s are sometimes what the first time people realize how impactful, like having a body in really bad shape can be. it's it's really like they have good opportunity to uh, get into positive loophole,
Mm. Mm.
especially
Interesting.
if you.
You mentioned that sedentary lifestyle. I've just done a 5 week trip to Australia, and every day I was on my toes. Every day I was on my feet. I wasn't sitting behind the desk like I do when I'm in Taiwan. And I hopped on the scales this morning and I weighed in at 91.5 kilos. But before I left, I was anywhere from 103 to 104 kilos. And exactly what you're saying here is, I believe from sitting here that my body's saying, I don't need these particular hormones. But once I was on my toes in a very different environment, I feel that my body really came back to life. And all that fat that I had been carrying just started to drop off. So 91.5, let's say I lost 10 kilos, but the body's acting very different in a different
Yeah,
environment. It's like they've all turned back on and said, you
different
need this
signals.
oxytocin. Yeah, because working at home, maybe the oxytocin says, I'm going to work with people on the internet, on the telephone, on Zoom. But that's very different to seeing people face to face. But I had a lot of that human contact. Also, a very different diet. The food's good here in Taiwan. It's tasty, but I was able to eat very lean in Australia. At 5 weeks, massive transformation. And I
Of
feel a
course,
lot of those things got turned back on.
of course, especially if like I have few clients, their like change were dramatic over a few weeks period. They've been
Mm.
active when they were like teenagers, so they're like ex-athletes, up to their like 30s when they got their kids, and then they stop training, and then they're again return in their 40s, and it's like in 5 6 weeks 8 weeks, it's just like because you have this like muscle memory, and that's like something that is, you know it's so amazing to see how your body's like waking up. And
Mm.
because it knows what to do, your body knows what to do, like you know and it just aligns whenever you're just giving it the test, the signals, the training. That's why I like to say, like, like when you lifting heavy with weights, you put a certain stress on your body. And it's not just like, for example, when you do deadlift, it's not just that your back and your legs are working. They are, but like your system, your CNS, central nervous system, is also like on stress, and the way it adapts, it's gonna realign the hormones. So that's what you need. You need this stress on your body, on your system, not just local stress on your chest or your biceps, that will push your body to realign hormones. And the hormones gonna do the work, you know.
Mm.
Sometimes people think that they need to realign hormones in order to get the better body, but it's actually the first step is to get training, and then the hormones will realign. And that's something I see with this like peptides or HRT, you know. They start with HRT. I remember when I was younger, you know, like still testosterone was involved in bodybuilding. But I remember when I was younger, like even older guys would like, what, you're training 3 years, you're not supposed to think about like testosterone or anything like that, you know, like not until you train at least 5 years or something like that. But you know, it was like forbidden for us to talk about it, you know.
Mm.
But now I see some people, some clients even will come to me, not client, but like some people will come to me and ask me for coaching, and they will say like, I will start with testosterone, and then like in 2 3 months I want to start working out. And I'm like, you know, it doesn't work that way, and that's a huge problem with today's HRT or peptides or something like that. You should not, it's the other way around. You start training, you start working out, as you said, eat more like clean food, you know. And then if it's mandatory, if there's no other way that you can realign your hormones, then we can talk about like HRT or whatever. But like, you know, basics first,
Mm.
because it's gonna backfire on them.
You've coached a lot of people. You've coached more than 5,000. What are some of those changes that people start to see in their body at age 35 to 40? What are some of those things that change? Because for me, I started to notice that my body was changing at 40, but I probably didn't realize what was happening from my mid 30s. Because by the time I got to 40, I thought, that's not the body that I used to know. I would recognize that I didn't know what to eat anymore. I would eat, seemed like I'd eat vegetables and I'd get fat. I'd eat fruit and I'd get fat. I'd eat pasta and I'd be like a drug addict craving for more. What are some of the things that you see in people?
Well, so it doesn't matter with who I train. The first thing I'm always doing is this, like, take a step back and then, like reshaped. And the first thing we do is like guts, uh, blood sugar control, and sleep. These are three the most important things for me. You know, that's how you start rebuilding your foundations. You know, it's like restarting the system. Gut. Sometimes you have like this gut inflammation, or like you are what you eat. The saying, you
Mm.
are what you eat. It's like you are what you digest. You know, and sometimes when you have like this problem with digestion, they can impact your hormones. As you know, probably like 80%, 90% of serotonin is made in your guts.
Mm.
So like the first thing that I would do was like cleaning the digestion system, restarting the digestion system, and then blood sugar, which is like sometimes people like to do, like they don't pay attention to small bites or something like that. Like take a fruit there, especially if you work on like desk or something like we do. Like you take like you work 1 hour and then you go and you have like, I don't know, some bite, some fruit or something, and then you again after 40 minutes you take something, and then your blood sugar basically is doing this. You know, it's not stable. So that's the second thing, and the third thing is sleep. And the first thing people realize when you stabilize everything is like how fast the amount of energy and I would say like well-being, like feeling more like happy, at peace. And then they're like, is that all that it takes? Just like, you know, cut some of the foods, plan, and it's not like eating less. That's something that people, will get wrong. It's like just better timing, like, okay, I'm up in the morning, I don't eat carbs, but I'm gonna eat, pasta for my lunch, and then I'm gonna eat cheese for dinner. So now you have just better timing so your body can realign better, and then like, okay, now I can go to sleep every night. If you work late, okay, 1 o'clock. Every night I'm gonna go to sleep at 1 o'clock or 12, it doesn't matter. But you just reset your sleep schedule,
Mm.
your circadian rhythm, and then your body just realign. It works like clock basically. The only problem is like we're not letting it set up proper. We're always changing something: food, sleep schedule, blood, carbs, the sugars that we're putting in. We're basically like confusing our body. So the first thing is important to like set up your body so it knows how it works. It has his own schedule, his own time for food, for sleep, for being active, for being, that's why you have problems to focus, because your body basically doesn't know when should sleep, when it should focus, and if you have like some uh, like sleep medicine or focus, things to get you up, like I don't know, Ritalin or something like that, then it can even, like, if your body wants to sleep and you take something that goes up, it can mess up even more. So I would say the first thing that is the most important thing is like to kind of realign your body with food, with sleep, with sugars, carbs, and then the first thing that you get is like energy. That's the better digestion and energy in, I
Mm.
would say, like 2 weeks. And when you have stable energy, then you can plan everything else. You can plan your day. You can plan your day. That's something that. But I think also the biggest problem people will make is that they come to me because they want to lose belly fat or they want to look better, like starting from weight loss is also a huge mistake, from day one cutting. But you have a terrible system, and you want to spend more. That's like even a more disaster coming up. Can you imagine, like, you're gonna start your company and you don't have a structure, you don't know where, like, finances, but you're gonna go and buy fancy dinner, you're gonna go, that's exactly what your body is doing if you start with weight loss at the beginning. That's also something I don't suggest. Not that I don't suggest, I think it's terrible.
Mm. You mentioned gut health and you are what you eat. For me, when I was coming into my 40s, I realized that there was three things that really poisoned my system. It was sugars, salt, and flour. And I realized that when I was younger, pasta was a good form of energy for me. I could eat a ton of pasta. I had an abundance of energy and I would stay lean. But that was when I was an athlete, when I was 25. 10 years later, 20 years later, it has the opposite effect. So I find that when I eat carbs, now specifically pasta, I get really sluggish. So that was a big one for me. Sugars, I've learned that sugars
Is
can
it
be,
gluten or wheat?
it's both. So if I have anything with flour, today my belly just pops immediately. So sugars, salts, flour. doesn't work for my body anymore. And what
Uh,
I've noticed is that
that's something we
anything,
call white dead.
the White Death, yeah, three deadly poisons. And for me today, I notice that when I eat pasta, I'm like an addict. I'll have a bowl of pasta, I'll have another bowl, I'll have another bowl, and I could go for a fourth bowl. And if it's addictive, I know now that it's not good for my system. Things that are salty, here in Taiwan, there's a lot of food with a lot of salt. There's a lot of saucy dishes, and they taste great, but my energy dips immediately. I have it, I feel lethargic. I eat it, I want to have a rest. I actually don't feel more energized. So they're the three things that hit me. Another one that kind of slips in there as well is dairy, for gut health. If I have ice cream, I will fart for the next 3 days. If I have cheese, I will fart for the next 3 days. And immediately my gut reacts to it. And so today I've even cut out dairy because it just doesn't work in my 40s. And that was probably, I'm now 46, but it's something I've been learning over a 6 year period. That doesn't work for me. But there's other things that do, but it took a long time to learn it, took a lot of questions. I had to ask a lot of questions. What do you eat? How can you say trim? How do you stay your ideal weight and we're eating the same food? It's, it changes so fast.
Yeah, you need time to you need this mindful time thinking about yourself. And also the huge problem in that people don't have this uh, they consider eating as something as not being part of your like health, of your energy, of your something like that.
Mm.
Basically it's something that you enjoy. So uh, be in order to realize, to find out what doesn't suit for you, is like you need to know what you're eating, you know because if I ask a new client coming up, and if I ask, can you describe me your diet, what you're eating? Normal, like I eat some, I don't know, like some bread for, in the morning for breakfast, or, I'll have some croissant and some coffee, and then like for lunch, I'll go out, I'll eat with my friends, and for dinner, I'll just order something. So, like in one week, you have 15 different meals.
Mm.
So when you have problems, when you have gut problems, how the hell are you gonna know which one will will is causing you problem? And it's not something with like when like, okay, now you have pasta, you're just like down, it's sluggish, like but maybe it's cheese if you have macaroni cheese or something like that. But
Mm.
maybe it's, I don't know, wine if you had some wine. But maybe it's, I don't know, something else, cigar, whatever. It's like you can't know. You have to, step by step and take step by step. And
Yeah.
basically, but you know, uh, it's not when you have this type of people. It's you really need to start from scratch. Uh, because you being athlete, you knew what you were eating, you knew your diet, you know, but once you get to the point where you know what's not working for you, then it's easy. It's easy. You just know, okay, I can't eat this, I can't, and there are other options that you can eat. Like I can have a steak with some potatoes, like some yam, and some salad, and I can have a glass of beer. That's that's still it's still a great meal, to have. You still can have an amazing life
Mm.
if you have. This is something that I think people don't realize. It's like, oh, if I cut every, I'm gonna have a miserable life. Like,
Mm.
Why? It's
I think
not.
we attach so much pleasure with food. It's like every beer commercial, every alcohol commercial advertises somebody becoming wealthier by drinking this particular scotch, dancing better because they're drinking vodka, or having a laugh with the boys because they're drinking beer. And I think they've anchored that into our psychology that alcohol equals fun, but also food. It's also attached to conversation. You know, a lot of these ads on television will promote families eating together, families talking around the dinner table. So it makes sense when I hear it that people are, if I cut out this particular food, I lose the fun, I lose the joy. But that's not the truth. You can sit there and still have the great conversation. You can have a laugh, you can go dancing. You don't necessarily have to have the alcohol, and you don't have to have all the saucy foods. You can still eat basic, it still tastes good, but you're getting benefits rather than the drawbacks.
It's also like I so basically when I'm working on like with my coaches, when I work on like making a plan for some clients, they sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time I will give them like some social meal, which is like, be 5 days. And it's also when you have this as a reward for yourself, like for example Saturday dinner or Sunday family lunch, sometimes helps you to stay focused and restrain yourself during the working days, during from Monday to Friday. Because sometimes a lot, like the problem comes from having these, like as I said, small bites, or this for breakfast, instead of, Chinese, they have really good diets. For breakfast they're gonna eat eggs, and you can see people buying like these boiled eggs, peeling eggs, and then eating with, with some buns or whatever, which is great. Like I know in Europe, like they would go to bakery and then just buy some, you know which like has zero protein, just some sugars, some
Mm.
fat, white flour. It's terrible. So I focus more on this, because I don't think people enjoy this breakfasts in Europe, in Serbia, especially when they have like, like this, I don't know, like bread or some pastry or something like that. I don't think they're like enjoying it, makes their life, like wonderful. I just think they're doing this on like autopilot.
Mm.
So instead of this, I'm trying to replace, let's have some eggs, some French toasts, something like that, that will, over time will, like bring the better results. But, and then like, okay, for you have your Sunday lunch or Sunday dinner with your friends, you can have, and then plan, instead of having like something that, pasta for example, that it doesn't work for you. So okay, then, don't eat pasta, eat something else, eat steak, proper steak, and that's going to bring your diet to like 95% being good instead of 20%, and you're still going to get your, Sunday dinner or Saturday family lunch, staying together or something like that. So I'm trying to go with the line of less resistance, you know,
Mm.
instead of cutting this like family dinners. Or I agree with you, especially on alcohol and people being social without alcohol. It's like almost impossible, you know.
Mm.
I agree totally with you, but I just, as a coach, I see that it works more if you give people this like social event and being able to eat their own like favorite food, not cutting their chocolate cake, but just trying this like from Monday to Friday. because most of the time from Monday to Friday they leave and they eat on like autopilot, just eating to finish their meal. And then if you correct this, then like okay, Sunday dinner, Saturday, lunch, it's still okay. It's not going to bring much damage to the whole system. But also they need to know what will cause, because the first thing that junk food will damage is your guts. I remember when I was preparing for a competition and I was eating like clean for 4 or 5 months, like steak was my junk food. Not junk food, but like, you know, passion food. And I remember going out and I was like, okay, I can have some chicken wings and beer. And I remember next day my guts were like for 2 days, like my energy was down. Like that's the first your body response to this junk food. It just can't digest. Lost the, that's the thing that people don't understand with junk food. It's guts and energy.
Food for everybody. We've got to eat. For most of us, 3 times a day, and we're going to eat 7 days a week. So what's that? 3 sevens are 21. We've got 21 meals, but a lot of people never plan for it. They don't think about their breakfast. They don't think about lunch. They don't think about dinner. It tends to be totally reactive for so many people. For me personally, I like to have a meal plan. And the meal plan might be as simple as I like to eat these foods. And as long as I eat these foods, I don't care what day it is. But if I eat these foods, it's good for my body and I don't have to make another decision. I find that making a decision about eating is incredibly fatiguing. What am I going to have for breakfast? What am I going to have for lunch? What am I going to have for dinner? Now I just say, well, what works for me? Like you were talking about eggs. I can eat 4 eggs for breakfast. It doesn't matter if they're boiled or poached. If I have my eggs, I can go all the way through till dinner time with no other meal. I can go past lunch. It's not that I'm skipping lunch. I just feel that my body's got enough energy that I don't need to eat. And then when I get to dinner, I can eat again. So if I start with my day with 4 eggs, boiled or poached, I'm good to go. That's easy. That's breakfast. I can also eat steak for breakfast. I bought an air fryer and I'll either have a pork chop, a chicken breast, or a beef steak. I can eat that for breakfast. I can also eat that for lunch. I can also eat that for dinner. So I've got eggs and I've got meat. And then when it comes to vegetables, I like to have hot pot. And for me, I can go to shabu shabu. I can eat all the vegetables. I don't have to eat the soy. I don't need the rice. I don't need the noodles. All of that I can push to the side. But I'll say, just give me a hot pot because I'm going to have my vegetables. So I've made a decision that these foods are good for me. Eggs, meat, I really don't like to eat a lot of fish. And hot pot, I'll have vegetables. And that's
So
the
what's your
simplicity
carb
behind it.
source?
Carb source, I will eat sweet potato. If I have
Yes.
rice, which I haven't had a lot of rice for the past 5 weeks, it'll be just a small bowl of white rice.
Yeah.
But I'll always eat sweet potato. So that could be the other source. If I want to have some breakfast, I could have sweet potato. And that's it.
Yeah, that's a good
I've made
time.
my decision. I can say yes to all of this. And if I can say yes to all of this, I automatically know that I can say no to all the other stuff. Everywhere I go, I can get eggs, meat, or vegetables. I don't have to make another decision anymore. And if I do that, I can maintain my weight and no stress about it.
There is something I like to teach my friends, my clients, and I call it like 2 meal rule. which kind of fits your uh, story. So basically, for every meal, you should have two options, like preset options. So, for example, for breakfast, you should have two options. For lunch, you should have two options. For dinner, you should. For eating out, you should have like two restaurants. And then, if you want more, for example, I'm a simple guy. I only have two for breakfast, for example. But some people they will have like they like more, variety.
Mm.
So they will have like two sweet breakfast options, two salty breakfast options, something like that. For me, I have like in the morning, either I'll have like my cornflakes, and in China, you can have like really this like cornflakes without any additives and any, so just pure corn flour. And I will add whey protein and some chia seeds. So either that, either I'm gonna make a pancake with eggs, egg whites, and low gluten flour, or either I'm gonna make scrambled eggs or tortillas with eggs. So just one tortilla and four eggs. So I have two sweet options and two salty options. So either I'm like, okay, in the morning, I'm like, oh, do I want to eat something salty or something like sweet? It's not sweet, like have sugars, but and then like, okay, I want to eat something sweet, and then I have two options. I only pick one. For lunch, for example, I know like for it's either rice and uh, chicken legs, or either beef and this rice noodles. It's always that. So they have like two options. And then for dinner, also two options. And then if I want to order takeaway, I also have two options. Go away, some restaurant, two options. So for me, it's like there's no, like what you said, there's no this decision fatigue.
Mm.
What should I eat? Because if you don't have, especially people who work in a like company where like they work with their workmates, with their colleagues, you know you're gonna end up eating what other people want to eat, especially if you don't have like clear choice, like, oh, today we're gonna eat this, and then if you're like, oh, whatever, they're gonna be like, okay, let's go eat this food. So you're gonna end up fulfilling other people's plans,
Mm.
or eating what they want to eat. So that's something that I don't. That's why you have like these two meals options, and it fits your whatever you say. Like it's just different. But
Mm.
yeah, that's something that can help a lot, for people, like, and also, sometimes people get scared, like, oh, should I have to measure everything, and I'm always telling people you have to do like first week or second week, because you don't know what 100 grams of chicken breast look like.
Mm.
So first week you measure, and then the third, fourth, next month, you're gonna know what 100 grams of chicken. You're gonna 10% up or down, but like, like you're gonna have, have the feeling of food, of amount of food. Most people don't have the feeling of amount of food. So just measure, 1 week or 2 weeks, few times, until you get this feeling of how much you're gonna eat, or how much you're gonna eat.
Mm. I was writing down this two meal options, and I wrote it down as this or that. So for breakfast, I can have meat or eggs. I can have sweet potato or meat. There's my options. Lunchtime, I can have meat. I'll give myself one option at lunchtime. But for dinner, I could also think about having solids or liquids. So the liquids I would put in the category of hot pot. It's soup based, it's going to be vegetables, or I can have a solid meal, which would be, again, my meat. in terms of this or that, I thought about the liquids. So I like to drink black coffee with honey, or I like to drink water with creatine. It's very simple. Coffee with honey or water with creatine. So for me, in my mind, these two options are so clear. It's either this or that. Very simple decision. And I know if that's
Yeah,
available, it's so easy to say no to all the other stuff.
yeah. And it pushes away this decision fatigue, what to eat. It's
Mm.
like, okay, I know what to eat. And it's always easy, like people say, do I have to eat? Like, I can never eat. You can, but as I said, the biggest problem is this autopilot. When you don't think about it, when you're working and you have something on your mind and you just order something. Like, you need to set yourself up so the thing that you're ordering fits well with your body and with your diet. And then if you want to, okay, today I'm sick, I want to eat whatever, I want to eat barbecue, go eat barbecue. But trust me, like, that barbecue is going to be once a month because you're going to be, like, so into work that you just don't think about it. And I always, like, with people when they have like cravings or something like that, or eating sweets, I don't like to, like, tell them, like, to cut the foods away. I like to push the healthy, like, better alternatives. And I like to feed them more with it. Because if you have your, like, sweet potatoes and your meat, you're going to feel full. So now you don't want to, like, you're okay for not eating chocolate or something like that. You understand what I mean? It's like,
Mm.
instead of telling them you should not eat chocolate, like, no, first eat your meat and first eat your sweet potatoes and your soup, and then when you're full, try to eat chocolate. And then most of the time you end up like, I don't want to eat chocolate.
But
So
what
that's
I
like
do
the
to
line of
resist all
blessing
that
resistance.
often, if I eat my eggs first, I don't want anything else after that. If I eat
Exactly.
my meat, I just don't want anything else after that. But if I go the opposite way, for example, if I was going to have bread, I could have 4 slices of bread first, then followed by 4 eggs. And then I regret every life choice I've ever made. If I'm having pasta, I could non-stop eat pasta. But if I tried to eat the vegetables second, it never works. But if I had my vegetables first and then pasta, I'd be so full that I'd have to say no to multiple dishes of it. So I think
Yeah,
that
it
that
just
combination is important. If I have, I remember when I drink a latte, coffee with milk, I could have 3 or 4 of those, one after the other. But if I have black coffee with honey, I never want any milk after that, ever. So there's some
yeah.
types of intelligence in that food and in my gut that says this is good, the rest is not so good.
Well, sometimes your body, because your body craves for nutrients. It doesn't crave for food. And that's people, when what I'm telling people, like, when you want to eat chips, for example, your body doesn't say, like, I need chips. It says I need salts, you know. And basically it knows, oh, when you eat chips, I'm getting the salt that I need. So now I'm going to ask you to eat chips again. But I don't need chips, I need salts.
Mm.
So that's, like, your body, when it says, like, oh, I need, like, maybe some sweet, you know, maybe I need some carbs, I need some food, I need some energy. So your body can't tell the difference between, like, this processed, I mean, in terms of demand, it can't tell. It asks for chips, it asks for, banana, but what it needs like some electrolytes or something like that. But it also needs, like, food. and then it's gonna ask for whatever the most caloric thing that you can have in mind. It's gonna ask for that because, as we mentioned earlier, like we come from 100,000 years of starvation, and in the last 100 years we have a problem of excessive food. So your body is basically trained to over ask for more and gets more because your great great grandfathers, they didn't have problems, they didn't have conversations like you and me today. It was like eat as much as you can because next week maybe we won't have. So but our bodies are still run
Mm,
on this they're not run like, oh, there's excessive food everywhere,
mm,
basically. So that's something we have to understand. Get to the point, like when your body asks for something like salty or something sweet, sometimes it just needs carbs or fats or salts. So basically when you eat healthy food, and you say, okay, I'm going to have my whatever, my pasta, but first I'm going to eat something, like something else. Sometimes you just give your body what it needed at the beginning, and then like, okay, I'm good now. Like I don't need to eat or something like that. That's also a really good strategy
mm.
to do.
We also have a desire in today's day and age to have our favourite food in all the seasons. And what I mean by that is for people who crave bananas, expect that there's bananas all year round. People who love sweet potato expect that there's sweet potatoes all year round, but they are seasonal fruits. The banana plantation doesn't grow bananas all year. The sweet potatoes don't grow all year round. But our diet, we expect to have all those things whenever we want. I come from a family of farmers. And here in Taiwan, we also have a lot of seasonal food. So the sweet potato season is now finished. And we probably won't see a lot of sweet potatoes available for the next 5 to 6 months. So our diet also shifts based on supply. And the supply is because of the season. The bananas here, we go through a period of time where we just get these little tiny sweet bananas, these tiny things. But the beautiful big ones disappear for the season. The same with the vegetables. So here we have a natural cycle of eating as well, which I think is an advantage because in the Western world, they don't tend to have that so much. You can go to the supermarket and all of your favorite foods, your lettuce, your capsicum, your tomatoes, your
And
white
they all look
potatoes,
perfect.
your mushrooms are there 24/7, 365. And they, yes,
And
they're
they all
beautiful.
look like copy paste.
I've never seen a sweet potato here in Taiwan that's identical. I've never
Yeah.
seen a head of broccoli that's not damaged. I've never seen a perfect banana. It's all imperfect. And when I see those imperfections in the food in Taiwan, I know it's healthy. And when I put
Yeah.
my nose up to the broccoli, I can still smell it. But I've just been in Australia and I put my nose near the broccoli, I smell nothing. I taste
It's,
nothing.
I don't know, how's food in Australia? Is it
Good.
like
Good
terrible
meat. A lot of the vegetables are
because of farms
subpar
you have? Yeah.
because
Let me tell you a story.
it's imported
So
and it's snap frozen and then it's thawed out before sale. So a lot of the food in Australia could have been in storage for 3 or 6 or 9 months.
that's still not as bad as it can be. Like, let me tell you a story. So I'm from Serbia, and I have a friend who he's in Mexico. He married a Mexican girl, has 2 kids there, and so he was allergic to onion, like really allergic. Ended up in hospital. Always had to, you know, and like Mexican food, they use a lot of onions.
Mm.
So he told me like for a few times he was always like asking his friends knew something like that, but like where when they would go somewhere and he would ask like, are there like onions here? They would say no, 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 we know, like, and then he realized they lied to him. So he was eating, but there was no any reaction. So he tried a few times later and he realized he can eat the onions. And he was eating like even onion like this, he was eating, no problems. And it's all like America, USA, Mexico, it's the same onion, and it's the Monsanto like GMO thing. And he thought that he just like his body like passed off over this allergy. He came back to Serbia. In Serbia, we have like this like burgers style, like Serbian domestic burgers, and we eat with onions. And he had this, and he ended up in a hospital for he almost suffocated. So can you imagine that your body, you have like basically two same plants, onions, but this one is so changed that your body doesn't have the same reaction to it.
Mm.
Your body sees it as something different. Can you imagine? Like,
Well, here in Taiwan, we don't see food allergies like we do in the Western world. So, in a Western world, like in America or in Australia, you can't take peanuts, peanut butter to school because so many people have peanut allergies.
yeah,
So many dishes here in Taiwan have peanuts. There's
yeah, they
peanuts
use
in
peanut
supermarkets.
oil. Yeah,
Yeah, and there's places that just sell peanuts.
yeah.
But you don't see or get these warnings about peanut allergies. I used to have a lot of allergies when I grew up to many different foods in Australia. I can eat those foods in Taiwan and have no reaction. I used to be allergic to tomatoes, and those GMO tomatoes, they're farmed in giant factories. They weren't good for me. Here I can eat a tomato and have no problems whatsoever. So, today
Yeah.
we've got to be careful of where the ingredients is coming from and also what they're putting in the soils, because the soil today is a very different soil to what was used just 40 or 50 years ago. The nutritional value in the foods today is sometimes they say 20-25% of what it used to be. I remember
Even
eating
more, even
broccoli.
less, even less. So you can measure like with vitamin C in orange, and you have like for example organic orange, where one organic orange contains 10 times more vitamin C than 1 kg of like this GMO oranges. So basically, what you're getting from this GMO oranges is like you're just getting orange juice with
Mm,
nothing else, just water and some taste, some sugars,
mm, mm,
fibers, nothing else.
mm. When I
So
was in Australia last week, I saw somebody eating an orange, and that was it. I saw it. Here in Taiwan, if someone's eating an orange next to me, I can see it, but I can also smell it.
smell.
I can smell that citrus in the air from 2 or 3 meters away. As soon as they peel the skin off, you can smell the acid and the citrus. That's a real orange. Back there, that's not a real orange. Both I can see. One I can't smell, the other one I can.
So and it's I know in Australia. So my sister is in New Zealand, and I know like in Australia you have these farms, and basically in Europe you had something I don't see much Actually, there's not in China, like, but in Europe, there's a lot of like rich families. It's like a ultimate prestige to have your own farm and your own
Mm.
food. That's
Family
like,
farm.
yeah, we say like the poorest and the richest people, they're producing their own food, you know. All in between, they're just, you're basically eating what they offer you. But
Mm.
like I know in Europe, like you have like a lot of rich people just having their farms and producing their own food, what they're eating. And I think this is like, I mean, of course, I'm not saying, I'm telling to your listeners, like you should produce your, if you can, that's great, produce your own food. But what you have to have in mind sometimes that like this, if you find something cheap, if that orange that you're eating is just cheaper, it doesn't mean that it's good. Sometimes just skip it,
Mm.
you know. And also like organic, there's a huge problem with, or like this organic food, if you know, because what organic means is just you don't use a lot of like, you need to use specialized pesticides, organic pesticides, but that doesn't mean that you can't use ton of pesticides on that food. Or the main problem is like, if you can, that's something I suggest the most. Find the local farmers and ask them to buy like, seasonal food that they are making for themselves. This is something that I was doing back in Serbia. So I would go on a market, local market. You find some, grandma or some lady or some guy that is like selling something that you said like this not perfect, damaged broccoli, and then you talk with them. Okay, you're from there. Can we buy, like how many eggs can you produce, how many, cheese, how many, tomatoes, how, I want to buy, like, let's agree, and I'll buy, for $100 every 2 weeks. I'm gonna buy, you're gonna just deliver. That's something I suggest that people can do. And this is like the probably the best investment in your health that you can get. Just find a
100%.
local farmer and buy something.
For our audience who want to improve their health and want better health, where can they learn about you and the work that you're doing? What's the best website or the best place to follow you?
So social media, Instagram, I guess, Coach Boja, or NFit Prime, uh, and website with our offers, which is nfitprime.com. And then we can do like consultations over, there's a, so on our Instagram, the best way is like on Instagram, there's a link tree. And there we have like to schedule a video call, to schedule like to, to check with our team over WhatsApp. That's something that we can do. But I always have, we have free webinars, and that we talk about four things actually. This is how I like to spread. We have like trainings, we have nutrition, we have rest recovery, like strategies, and then we have hormones. We talk about hormones a lot. It's something I like. My method, it's, I call it like hormone back performance. So I talk about that a lot, which is like, as I said, when I was a professional bodybuilder, only professional athletes and bodybuilders would do hormone work and blood work, check their hormones, But people who are like, office workers or something like that, it wasn't considered necessary. But you can always optimize your health, your performance, by optimizing your body and your hormones. So that's something we talk about a lot, and how to do it. Like it's like I'm taking the big science. That's how I see my work. I'm taking these big science and scientific texts, and I'm sliding them to like these tasks, day-to-day tasks, or these two-mirror rules, or something like that people can do. That's my goal.
We'll also put the links wherever you're watching your favorite podcast or listening. We'll put the links in the description below. Coach, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.